Okay, hello and welcome. Welcome to this block party. This is the final event of this month's writers block at Writing on the Wall. For the past 3 weeks, we've had an international best-selling author, Caroline Smailes, as our writer on the block, which is a digital residency here at WOW. This is the last time Caroline will have to hear herself being introduced. So sorry, Caroline, for the last time. Her acclaimed debut, In Search of Adam, was published in 2007. The Big Issue North declared the book an engrossing and touching read from a new talent. Since then, she has written 7 additional novels, 2 novellas, a musical, and co-authored a short story collection. A film adaptation of her novel, The Drowning of Arthur Braxton, won Best UK Feature at Raindance in November 2021. She's passionate about creative practice. Caroline works as a director of book editing at Bubble Cow. She's a mentor for writers. She's a chair at literary events and is an associate lecturer in creative writing at LJMU. So thank you, Caroline, for an insightful and detailed residency, which was packed full of useful information for new and emerging writers. Caroline has been facilitating some amazing workshops, fueled fascinating conversations, and given one-to-one feedback during her time with us. To celebrate her residency, Caroline will be reading out her creative response to this residency, and we will also have 3 additional readers to perform their work for us this evening. We'll be looking to open the floor to anyone else who would like to share their work with us. So if you'd like to share yours, please let us know when the time comes, and we're really excited to hear your work. So Caroline, would you like to begin? How have you found the residency?
I've loved. I felt it's been a real privilege to have the opportunity to share ideas, to be inspired by other writers. And yeah, it's gone really fast. I would say that I've done the least amount of writing I've ever done in the last 3 weeks, because I've just been so consumed by it, just planning things, thinking about ideas, thinking about things that have been said within the Bloc socials. There's just so much talent out there from all over the world seem to be joining us here in the residency. The one-to-ones were amazing, and it was quite nice. I was in Tokyo for half an hour, and then I was in Holland, just kind of flying around the world in the one-to-ones. So no, it's been great. Thank you.
Brilliant. And you've been working on a short piece, haven't you, throughout the residency?
Yeah, I have. I'm in a difficult stage at the moment because I'm writing a novel at the moment. So for me, it has to be something that can be additional to the novel. I'm not very good at writing other things when I'm focused on certain characters. And, I wish that I was a performer, and I wish that I could do something amazing now, but all I can do is give you a snippet of prose that I've been writing, if that sounds all right.
That sounds fantastic.
Okay, right. I never do this, by the way. Never share work at this stage. I know it's terrifying. How do people do this? Okay, so what I did was, in one of the prompts, in one of the discussions that we were doing when we were writing, we were talking about objects and an object that a character might have. So I was thinking about that, and I chose sunflowers. And if you'd been in one of my Bloc socials where we were talking about ethical responsibility of variety, you'll know that I'm writing a novel based on an actual real life person. So what I decided to do was to try and think about, I'm writing a first person, to think how else I could give a voice, and I thought I'd write a letter. But basically it's responding to the comments that we had in some of the discussions about objects and emotion and details. And I might add this to my novel, or I might not. I haven't decided yet. So that's where I'm at. Yeah. So this could be in a novel that's coming out. So I'll give you a little bit of setting background, and then I'll read it. And so basically, Theo, the husband, is Vincent van Gogh's brother. He's collapsed 3 months ago and was taken to hospital, where he became violent, and the main character couldn't visit him. They have a son who's also called Vincent. And throughout their letters, throughout their relationship, they actually wrote letters to each other. and they're objects that kind of collected and persisted after they both died. So what I've done is I've written a letter, and it's the final letter the main character Joanna will ever write to her husband. It's really rough, and I hate reading out rough things, but we're going to go with it. And this wasn't what I expected to come from the object being sunflowers. I didn't expect this. Okay, so here we go. My dearest Theo, you died last night. 3 months of longing, 3 months of missing you every single day, 3 months of writing you letters in my head, words you didn't receive. Now I'm your widow, now I'll never see you again. I wasn't allowed to visit you, instead your doctor has written, the truth scratched into yellowing paper, your heartbeat weakened, your breathing faded, and at 11:30 yesterday evening you left this world. And already I envy those who knew you longer than I did. Now, in this instant, I hate them. I can't bear that you loved your brother for all of your life and me for such a tiny amount. But mainly I detest myself for feeling such ugly emotions. But we were in each other's lives for only 30 months, your wife for merely 21 months. I'm only 28 and you're barely 33. Our numbers are inadequate. And although in reality it's already been months since you left us, it seems that today I'm permitted to grieve. Our son is asleep. They think I'm sleeping too, but I can't. Our apartment is too quiet. I'm sure Clara and Madame Joseph stay still as statues, huddled together in the kitchen so as not to cause a sound. They haven't realised that the lack of noise unsettles me further. But I bought sunflowers earlier. For you. They're in a vase next to that framed photograph from our wedding day. I look at that photograph and remember how scared we were both of your brother about what he might do to himself. Some days his sadness invades all of the joyful moments in our too brief time together. Every artist has a story to tell about my husband, yet my stories and memories of our trip of love contain so much fear of what Vincent van Gogh might do next. I want to scream, Theo. I want to shout from the balcony. This isn't fair. This isn't how our tale is supposed to end. Why weren't we allowed to finish our love story, my darling man? Where are the good parts that I can cling to? I need you. Your son needs you. In 5 days, our boy will celebrate his first birthday. You'll never get to teach him everything you know. He'll spend his life searching for you, snatching other people's memories of you and trying to make them his own. I need you to walk in here right now, to scoop our tiny Vincent into your arms, to pull me close, to tell me everything will be fine. I don't know how to be Mrs. Van Gogh without you. I don't know how to be me without you. I wish I could rewind our short months together. I travelled back to the first time I saw you, all rigid, entirely out of place in the swirl and rush of Moulin de la Galette. I remember thinking that you looked as if you'd been carved from wood. Your pristine lounge coat fitted too close to your slight figure, that front button tie. Everything about you stiff and unyielding, but still, somehow, I couldn't stop looking at you. My first evening in Paris, I was so lost and full of shame, yet I recognized myself in you, an instant connection. I was almost frightened to blink in case you disappeared. And that's how I feel now, too frightened to sleep. But this time, because I know I'll wake and have to feel all of this pain all over again, with even more intensity, with even more longing, with the knowledge that this is real, that I'll never see you again. Our threads spin together, my Theo. We are stronger as one. I already miss the sound of your heart's beat. How do I say goodbye to you? The love of my life, when every day, when every glance at our son will remind me of your absence. I'll live your death every day until I die. This is wrong. This can't be. Rest well, my darling man. I will love you forever. That wasn't the end. No, I'll try again. I will forever be your wife. And gosh, that was really cheery, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was beautiful, though.
It's just objects, yeah? Sunflowers, objects, emotion. And yeah, I don't like reading out rough work. But yeah, thank you.
That was gorgeous. I mean, for rough work, that was spectacular.
Yeah, it was a bit rushed, but yeah, it's practicing what you preach, isn't it? That's what I'm having to do, because I can give everyone else this advice on what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing as writers, but taking the time to do that myself, it's been quite hard, and reading the work out, it's hard. And, I admire everyone who's been able to do that during the process of the residency.
Definitely. What has been your favorite part, do you think, of the residency?
Two bits, I think. I loved the Bloc social, where we talked about ethical responsibility.
Oh, I'm really sorry I wasn't there for that one. Everyone was raving about it.
Yeah, I loved it so much. It was just, everyone was so open, and the ideas, it really made me think about things differently and made me excited to be writing. We talked about responsibility and this need to give voice to stories that haven't been told. It was really, I love that, and I've loved the one-to-ones. I've loved the work and getting the privilege of reading other people's work, but also giving feedback. And like I said, traveling around the world, and everyone's been so enthusiastic and kind, and I've loved the one-to-ones. I've loved it all, but they've been my kind of special things.
Brilliant. Yeah, I really, it's a big regret of mine not having sat in with the Bloc social at that time, because everyone was raving about how wonderful it was, and it sounded like a really fascinating topic.
Yeah, I tell you what I would say, Mike. Yeah, I'm interrupting you, but I'd like to thank you, because also there is no one there. I don't think there's anyone else who could have asked me to do this, and I would have said yes.
Oh, that's really lovely for you to say.
I only agreed because it's you, because I don't think people know, but I used to teach Mikey a few years ago, and one of my all-time favorite students, and I don't think I would have said yes. I say yes to so few opportunities like this now because I'm so busy, and I don't think anyone else could have asked me and I would have said yes. So thank you for that, because it's been such a wonderful opportunity.
Oh, well, thank you. And you were definitely my favorite tutor at JMU. You were absolutely fantastic. I learned so much from you, and I really felt like my writing progressed very quickly under your eyes. So thank you so much. Right, so let us go on to some of the readers tonight. So we're going to start with Floyd Kennedy, if that's okay. Are you ready to read out, Floyd? How are you feeling?
Tired, if I'm honest, but I'm good. Didn't get much sleep last night. That's just how it goes. But I'm ready.
Yeah, just go for it.
Here I go then. Are you ready?
Sounds great.
Fastest slug slinger in the Northwest. A slug woke up today. I am that slug. I am that slug-a-bed. Iambically I slug my sluggish mounds of sliming flesh into lively trochees, bouncing dactylically down to the kitchen to plug in the kettle and knock up some breakfast, then anapestically make up a reason to be spondaically awake. Oh, too clever by half. Not. Uh-oh, I'm doing that thing. Slugging away, slinging slugs at myself. My son says I should write about other people for a change. He believes I can. I believe he wants another kind of mother. One who doesn't just write songs and poems about herself. He has a point, though. Apparently, the best comedians use humour, aiming their slugs upwards to knock those with power from their perches. That's what comedians do, speak truth to power. I don't do that. All my humour is self-deprecating. I am the butt of all my jokes. And yet some folks seem to relate to it, not because it gives them belly laughs, because it doesn't. It's wry, it's gentle. That doesn't mean it's not sharp. I have the scars to prove it. But then I am not a comic. I'm not a comedian, I'm a clown. It's my job to be a loser. That's what clowns do. It's their job to be in the doo-doo. And I'm pretty good at that. So there I go, slugging away, slinging slugs at myself.
That was absolutely phenomenal. I love that. I really, no, it was really, really good. I love that. Is there anything that stood out to anyone about Floyd's gorgeous poem?
I was just transport. Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Yeah, I was just quite transported to another world. Yeah, no, it was really good, and you read it out really well, so good for you.
Thank you, Sharon. The world inside my head is not necessarily a place you want to stay very long.
No, I loved the language in that, and I think we've all had that feeling of being the slug who has to trail themselves down the stairs in the morning. What a wonderful poem. So how long have you been writing, Floyd?
Oh, since I was a child, basically, but not publishing and not performing it until recent years.
Wow.
When I started, I was writing one woman play for myself and finding it really hard to learn the lines. And I thought, if I just make that into iambic pentameter, it'll be easier to learn. And it is. And then I realized that some poems that I'd written over the years, my character could be her poems. So that's how I started performing them.
Well, please make sure that you keep on performing, and it's not an easy thing to do ever. So I've got admiration for anyone who can read the work out loud, because it's a very, very difficult thing to do, and you did it so well.
Thank you.
That was absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. Georgia, our tech, has just said she loved the alliteration and the imagery it creates, and her brain sometimes feels like a slug too. We've all been there. It's very relatable. And Jerry says, very amusing, really great construction, and yes, transported by the language and delivery. It was fantastic delivery and really, really amazing language. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure. It's been an honor.
And we hope to hear from you again. And then we'll go to Sharon.
And I don't know how to follow that, really. I'll just do my best. That's all I can say.
Oh, we're really excited to hear from you, Sharon.
Mine's definitely not poetry. Yeah, I'm a bit, I haven't studied to English lit to degree level. I'm a bit put off, like just writing poetry. Yeah.
That's fine. Am I right in saying that the work that you're going to read out was inspired by prompts from Caroline's description workshop?
Last week's about grandma. Yeah, about grandmother came home drunk is my first one, but have I only got 5 minutes, is it?
Oh, what if it goes on too long, I'll promise I'll stop you.
I've got, well, basically I emailed the one grandmother came home drunk, and the other one about grandma.
That sounds great.
About going to what was grandma's house back to.
Well, whatever you've got, we'd love to hear it.
Anyway, I'll start with grandmother came home drunk. Yeah, here goes.
Brilliant.
Grandmother had been drinking all afternoon at a local public house, which she often did since her husband died. They used to, well, granddad, so yeah, well, they used to think. They used to visit just once a week, but since being a widow, she, mine only very roughly wrote out. I didn't really, I didn't rewrite it or anything. Sorry. Yeah, since being a widow, she walked there most afternoons for some company and enjoyed herself chatting to people she knew already after becoming a regular. She was jovial by nature, that helped her make new friends, and even became a friend of a widower who also attended alone sometimes. It was a funny scene with what had become a quite large group of what otherwise could be lonely people who lived alone, making and telling jokes to one another and remembering their past. They also tried to make plans for their future as a group to go out for at least a day by coach to a seaside destination in the early summer before it got too busy in the school summer holiday. It was only the once grandma grandmother came home drunk when it was her birthday, and there was a surprise birthday party for her arranged at the friendly pub that included free drinks for her! Exclamation mark. Well, that's as I wrote it out roughly during the workshop last week, the first workshop, although I think I might have been slightly different in the email. So, wow. And
did you say that you had another as well? You're absolutely free to read that out as well.
Yeah, there's another about a return to what was Grandma's house. Yeah. Made her granddaughter feel unwell and worried when she had quite fond memories of visiting there as a child with her parents. She felt sad at how neglected the house was after her male older cousin moved to live in it alone after their grandma died. She recalled playing chopsticks on her grandma's piano with her slightly older sister when they were children. And I visited there, obviously. The piano was in the front lounge, but had long gone from what was her grandmother's home. Yeah. During the visit to what was her grandma's house, her granddaughter got a surprise phone call on her mobile phone to tell her she'd managed to buy a dream house! Exclamation mark. This made her suddenly very happy, and she first asked the male estate agents, are you sure? Before believing it. And a smile spread across her face before she left her grandma's now neglected house. Her dream house was detached with a heated indoor swimming pool.
Wonderful.
Well, that is one of my dreams to have one day. And some of that was based on real life. Like when I used to visit with my young older sister, we used to play chopsticks on a piano. But I think my grandma played the piano much better than us, although I never actually heard her play it, which is quite a shame.
It is, but I can tell that you've that it's. Oh, I can hear some lovely music there.
That's cool.
Yeah, so yeah, I thought that was brilliant, Sharon. Thank you so much. Again, it's not easy reading out, so thank you for coming along to read out.
I don't get much chance to, so I'm really glad to have got the opportunity. And what else? If only online. And I chose as the character because I thought I could most relate to. You got a choice of characters to choose. The middle-aged recluse.
Yes, I think.
But I don't know if I've spent so long enough now reading out. Anyway, I didn't.
No, yeah. I was just thinking there was some. I could tell that you may have drawn from real life because there was some really distinct memories there and I could really build a picture of the grandmother's house and things that had been and things that had been lost.
And well, my older male cousin did actually sort of, I don't know if he inherited it or he got it for a good price, but basically lives in it now. And I believe, although I've never seen, I'm not sure, one who has been quite neglected, which is quite a shame.
That is always a shame when things end up neglected. But thank you so much, Sharon. We've got some, Jerry said, great characters to build the story upon, do write more. Arthur said it painted a picture, which it really did. And Georgia said, lovely storytelling.
Oh, thanks. I'm conscious of being all that. I've tried to get my head around that show, don't tell, you know. And,
well, that's one of the most important rules, so it's really good that you're thinking about that.
I showed but didn't tell. It's quite. I find it quite difficult to know the difference, you know, to distinguish between them.
Mm-hmm. I'll let Caroline comment on that.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that how lovely it is to hear a piece based on one of the prompts. You know, that makes me so happy because, you know, I'm sitting and I'm thinking about what to give you, and to hear something that's been written from, something I've thought about, right, I'm going to give you this exercise, and you've sat and you've shared that with me. To me, that, it's so lovely. When you talk about show, don't tell, you gave lots of details that were true, felt truthful, like the trip that they were going on, the free drinks, the fact they were free, and that's how she had a little bit too much to drink. Yeah, but it's that kind of detail that's showing, because it's, these drinks are free, and I think that, and the question was how, I remember saying, how did she get so drunk? Is this out of character? What's happened to her? And I love what you've done with it. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, you're welcome. And I've just got to say, now I've got the opportunity. It's funny that you haven't had a chance to write much while doing this. And I can see, because you're obviously so busy with all your writing and teaching and whatever doing. And I'm sure you are an excellent teacher as well. I've really so enjoyed your writing exercise. It's got me writing recently more than I have in a long time. So thanks very much.
Oh, thank you. That's my pleasure. I'm so glad it's worked.
It's just keeping it up. I'll have to try and keep it up. I know that's all I can say. I'll try to anyway. But thank you very much anyway.
Yeah, Sharon, I'm so glad that the Writer's Block has been able to facilitate that. And, I can speak from experience that, having worked with Caroline as a teacher, that she does bring out the best writing in you. And I can see that there were some really beautiful moments in that. So although you keep saying it's like a rough draft, but it may feel rough to you, but there's so much promise there. So please keep on writing. It's the beginning of something really great.
Yeah, the other thing for me email was, I couldn't think of like 5 treasured items, but I thought of 4, which I put in the email. And it was a shame, the blue exercise, like notebook, I started writing an adult in, definitely for adults, I'll just say. Quite, I don't think I'm right saying this, but quite erotic and exotic story for adults, could be turn into a novel. And I kept it going for as long as possible, just in a blue. And it's quite purpose in a blue exercise book, because it was really very blue. Yeah. And it was quite funny, because I basically got the idea of it after reading as much as I wanted to of 50 Shades of Grey. I got a copy of from a charity shop. But it was so badly written, I was a bit disgusted with it. And that's what that's what I noticed more than anything, how badly written it is. And I basically returned as a charity book, and obviously didn't ask for the money back, but I said, I gave it back. And it was an animal charity shop. It's quite near where I live. And I reread after that Lady Chatterley's Lover, and it just made me realise what a good writer H. Lawrence was, in comparison, just...
I'm glad you think that.
Definitely, yeah. Anyway, I've stuck my neck out a bit there, saying that I wasn't intending to, but I definitely noticed. I've probably got I don't often give modern writers a chance, and I suppose I should, because I think I've got a bit of a snobby attitude for studying. You can, like, English lit degree level, there was some years ago now. With having learned from the best in a way, all the classics and that.
Yeah, but you're taking all the right steps. You're reading lots. You're reading lots of different materials. You're responding to prompts. You're getting involved. You're thinking about show, don't tell. These are all the right things to think about when you're writing. So thank you so much, Sharon. We're going to move on to Jerry now, but thank you so much for reading that out. That was fantastic.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll shut up now.
Not at all.
I feel like I've just said enough. I hope I just haven't said more than enough. Too much.
No, thank you so much. So, Jerry, are you
okay? So this is an excerpt from a novel I'm writing, a work in progress. Apologies in advance to Caroline. She gave great advice, and I'm sure I've ignored every single thing she said in writing it, but there you go. To give you a context or whatever, it's 2 people in the grip of powerful emotions, conflicting powerful emotions. They're refugees from the war in Poland. And there is a trigger warning, I suppose, of consensual sex. But hopefully that isn't really the point of the piece, but there you are. So I'll just crack on. They lay together in the darkness, listening to the sounds of grief and anger from outside. Warsaw had surrendered, the home of the nation, abandoned, beleaguered, surrounded, and now defeated, lost for all time. He held her hand, felt the dirt of the attic floor digging into his back. She in turn wondered how her mother was feeling. She was a child of the city and often complained they did not visit enough. But father was from Czestochowa and thought his birthplace the true capital of Poland. Warsaw was a cesspit full of Jews and Reds, godless people. Rosalia wanted to bang on the floor in frustration, but Marek was holding her hand tightly and would not let go. There was nothing in the room except an old mattress, dirty, thin and full of lumps. They hadn't made love on it yet, just fooled around a little, but they would today. Today was a day for life, not death. It didn't matter that Poland was dying. She would go on. Life would go on. Perhaps they would make a new life there in the dark. Perhaps not. She didn't want to marry Marek, didn't want what he could give her, but she wanted him inside her. She knew that much. They had found the attic a week ago, high up in an abandoned shoemaker's. It stood shuttered and forgotten up a narrow alleyway. It hadn't been given to any refugees yet, and they had found they could get in through a small courtyard at the back. There were no lights, but they didn't mind. Sometimes they needed to hide from the bright sun outside, from the people and their endless talking. Rosalia stared up at the roof beams, saw chinks of light where the slates of the roof had shifted over the years. She turned her head away, looked along the floor to where a pale square on the wall marked where a picture had once hung. It was quiet in the attic, so quiet she could hear her heart beating, hear every part of her body and feel its weight. Normally she felt light as air, felt she could run all day, but not today. Today she felt afraid, unsure of the future, but there was also a growing sense of freedom just around the corner, if only she could take it. What was going to happen to them now, she asked herself, to mother and father, to her? Whatever it was, she did not want to go back to how it had been before. She knew she could not stay in Hungary, would not go with her parents if they decided to move on. She knew that she was needed. She just did not know by who or by what. Marek felt no desire, not yet. Fear had killed desire. Boleslav was dead, Kolos arrested, Andras God knew where. His father had killed Boleslav and then had lied to the police, all to keep Marek alive and the family together. He'd finally been released by the police, and from what he could tell, no one cared how his friend had died. So he was safe. He should be feeling relief, but experienced only a growing contempt for the world, contempt and hatred. Marek hated his father, but it was a hatred fueled by guilt and shame. Shame that he had let Gregor do what he did. Shame that his father's soul was stained with blood. Guilt that the only ones who would pay the price of his crimes were others, not him. Guilt that, in the end, it had all been his fault, all for $5. $5 that he would never see. He loathed his father, he loathed himself. His soul shrank from the thought that the family would return to Poland and that he might have to live with Gregor for the rest of his days, seeing him, doing as he was told, putting up with his drunkenness, the way he treated Marek's mother. Something inside him died a little, and the rest of him began to fill with a restless desire for something to happen, for someone to save him. Marek stood up, pulled Rosalia with him so their bodies were pressed against each other. He said nothing, just looked into dark eyes alive with curiosity and fear, her straight nose and sharp chin his whole world. Her lips twitched into a smile, and he thought of overpowering her, of pushing her back against the wall of the attic, lifting her up and doing it to her right there, right then. The silence stopped him, a silence stronger than he was, a quiet he could not disturb. Rosalia stared at Marek. She saw his desire, felt the heat of him, his strength to match her own. She eased herself against him, felt no corresponding urgency, and realized she must do something. She brought up a hand and slapped Marek gently on the cheek. Now he was awake. Now she had given Marek permission to do what they both wanted him to do. He pushed her towards the mattress, both of them stumbling and getting in each other's way. She felt its edge against her heel, grabbed his shirt and pulled him down, turning her body as she did to lie along the bed. She pulled up her skirt and he tore at her knickers, pulling them down and throwing them away. Wholly in the grip of his desire, blank of mind, bereft of hope, he slammed into her. He felt a slight resistance, but did not care, heard her hiss of pain and then breathe out again, shoving herself down the bed so he was wholly inside. He tried to control himself, to be a man, but his need overwhelmed him. Outside the house, a police siren sounded, grew loud enough to fill the whole world, and he came, fear poisoning his seed, pain his only memory of what he had done.
Right. Well, thank you, Jerry.
Thanks
Caroline.
Well, you see, I was nervous before about reading some work out, but you've read out a sex scene as well. You know, I know it's not, yeah. So that's like double whammy there. So I am in awe of your courage and ability to do that. But also, it's so nice hearing more of this story. I'm getting all these snippets from throughout the residency. I've had these snippets from different parts, and this one joins the previous one. I can see the characters again. So it's really lovely to get more of a sense of these characters. And you've done so well with that. I actually think that's the best one. That's the best. Now, I know I said yesterday that my favorite one was on the ship, but I'm going to say that I think that's the most visual.
In my mind, you probably don't hear from Marek again for another 30,000 words. So I apologise for talking about him and then running, as it were, or whatever.
But it was so visual and visual and controlled as well. So I think that's well done. Thanks
very much. And I've said it. I said I apologise, but all of the time I was writing it, I was thinking of all the things you've said to help, and they were very helpful. And if I ignored them, I apologise. But there's something of you in that writing, I think, a little bit.
Thank you.
It's a very difficult topic to delve into, and it was very brave of you to do that, and also to read it out. It was very, very vivid imagery, very distinct characters. I was impressed. I was impressed by the writing. It's a very huge topic to approach, but it was very, very good writing.
I've got to just say, even if I wrote, which I did, quite erotic scenes, I'm not sure I'd be brave enough to ever read them out. So no, you did very well there, Jerry, to read.
Thanks, Sharon.
Good for you, yeah.
Arthur, did you have something to say? Oh, you're still on mute, Arthur. There we are.
I've brought something from one of Caroline's prompts about sort of Mrs. Van Gogh. I was trying to put a Scouse twist on it. So it was any time before the end. It's only short. I've got a Scouse twist on Mrs. Van Gogh.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Hopefully we will open the floor shortly. I just wanted to see if anyone wants to say anything about Jerry's writing before we moved on. I feel perhaps that people are not brave enough to comment on the sex scene, but George is very powerful.
I go to the Leeds writing group. It's on a Monday night by Zoom, and I do that one as well. And there is usually a profound blank silence after I've read, so I'm quite used to it. And I've no idea whether that's people in awe of what I've written or thinking, what the hell is he? What is he on about?
No, I think we all knew what you were on about. It was very visual. So no, I don't think there's any complaints. I think we're all in awe of your reading it aloud, and just the visuals there were fantastic. So well done, Jerry.
Yeah. I do the laid back writers in Liverpool as well, and and there it's completely different. I write exactly the same thing and it gets torn to shreds in a nice way and a very helpful, constructive way, but it's the writer's lot, I suppose. You can't please everybody all the time.
That's very true, but the fact that you're putting yourself out there and you're willing to take that feedback on the chin and to want to improve all the time is what every author should aspire to, because it doesn't matter whether you've had no novels out or 10, you're constantly growing, and that seems like you're completely open to that. So that's fantastic.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you very much. Right, so Arthur, if you would like to read out your response to one of Caroline's prompts, that would be lovely to hear.
It's only short. It just got me thinking, because when we had the little sort of meeting, I was talking about Artemisia Gentileschi, about the problems and things that she sort of went through, and that brought this strand together. So this is just something short. It's called A Dutch Fiasco, brackets, a woman overlooked. Who tells my story? I am the story. Put your ear back on your face. It's a time for attention seeking, not a race. I'm keeping it all together. I'm your anchor in a Dutch storm. Art is just another form of suppression, hegemonic misogyny. Who remember this struggle? Who remember this obstruction? No one. If I've told you once, I've told you twice. Just pick up your ear and get out the house.
Wow, I love that. Well done. That's so good.
She's just trying to strike a balance and saying, you might have impressed other people by chopping your ear off, but you haven't impressed me.
Yeah, it's really good.
I stumbled there, sorry, but yeah, I like what you were trying to sort of take on board. It's a big thing to do, and there's lots of scope there. So
yeah, and it's who tells our story. Yeah, who tells our story? It's a really good idea. Brilliant.
You can imagine that was in Liverpool, someone saying in the pub, just put your ear back on and get out.
I'll tell you what, Arthur, it was, people told me before the we had Gularana last residency that you weren't reading out your work before then. And it's lovely to hear you getting braver and braver and reading out more and more work. It's really lovely to see. And that was a lovely little piece, that.
It was a bit silly, but it's a balance between sort of getting your ear cut off and a bodice buster. So it's good, isn't it? So it's a nice balance. Thanks anyway. Yeah.
Arthur, I love that so much. I would have that on the wall in my office because I think that was really good. So yeah, I do like that.
No, I love sitting here in the Scouts and anything read out because it's not often you hear it. And I've written Scouts characters some years ago based on a trip made on a bus into Liverpool some years ago now, and it's about time traveling bus that goes back in time. And the only thing is, it goes back to the First World War, and I get quite emotional because, well, I'm quite an emotional person, can be anyway, and it's obviously very sad, when you touch upon the First World War, and all the men lost their lives and that, young men, and I've got Scouts, that started with Scouts women are on the bus going into town, and it was when, if you remember, when Primark first opened and they were going, have you been to Primark? Oh, isn't it great? And we were all going round with the brown paper bags from Primark.
Oh, that's fantastic. I just wanted to open the floor and make sure that no one else wanted to read out. Is there anyone who's bursting to read some of their work? Because we'd love to hear from you. Anyone feeling brave?
I've got something topical, just quick. It's from the book we've had published. It's just short. It's about all the storms. We've had like 7 storms at the moment and lost 11 lives. And I've got a short poem in here about trying to survive in a storm. And it's a true story. So it's only short. I could just do that if you want to.
Go right ahead, Arthur.
It's from Turning the Tide. We just produced the book. So this is a wild book, yeah. Lizards leap. Rain battered my skin. I began slipping away, down over the cliff. It was near the lizard, down to my death. I awoke tangled in Hottentot fig. briars and cleavers halfway to the beach. Help, help, crashing waves. No chance of being helped. I can only save myself. I slowly turn over, dig in, crawl back up. Easy thought, easy said. Come on, Arthur, use your head. He's here, he's halfway down, past that rope ladder. Later in the ambulance, voices said he was lying down there for 2 hours. I ached all over, my eyeballs wept. I've learned a lesson. No more cliff walks and storming rain. Thank you.
That's fantastic, Arthur. Thanks so much. And again, that was something that Arthur created via one of our programs. Would you like to tell us about that program, Arthur?
Yeah, we had this amazing sort of program before sort of lockdown or going into lockdown, and we just all sort of come together. We were all encouraged to sort of contribute to a right to work course, and we've done that, and then we put sort of some of the work forward. It was all very rough and we were all very shy and everything else. And then we were given mentors who took us through the poetry, and they sort of tweaked it up and made it look good and what have you. And I'm not boasting, but I was fully expected to only get one poem in here. And when he eventually told me it was going to be 8, he couldn't knock me down. And it saved my life as well. It saved my life because I was actually in a coma in the hospital and I was dying. And one nurse kept coming to me every morning and kept saying, don't die yet, don't die yet. You've got a book coming out. I'll never forget that. So, wow, it saved my life. Sorry, get emotional.
Arthur, you get me going. Oh, that's a wonderful thing. You know, this is what WOW is all about. It's all about you know, bringing out that creativity in people, and you know, creativity is such a key to wellness. I really believe that, and it's at the heart of everything we do. There's a pure connection between creativity and health and well-being. And that's why it's really important that everyone gets involved in creativity and creative things. And
I'm going to give a copy of this to Caroline if I could, please.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you. That would be
Sorry if I've spoiled the session somewhat, but thanks anyway. Yeah.
No,
Thanks for sharing that, Arthur. That's really lovely.
you know, I think it's so important when we hear these stories, though, that Arthur said there about the hope from writing. You know, the hope and the being heard and the hope. There's so much that connects us all for our reasons why we want to write, and why we're compelled to keep going. You know, it's this, and I love that. I love that story, and I think the work that WOW does in the community is, you know, it's remarkable. And you know, I hear so many different stories like this. It's all over social media of people who are being able to express themselves in ways that they never could before. And that sounds absolutely. I'm really looking forward to reading it. Thank you, Arthur. That was lovely to hear.
And Arthur, keep writing and keep sharing your work with us because we love to hear it. Is there anyone else who's looking to read before we've still got some time if anyone would like to read out? I think we had Michael come in from, is it Birmingham in Alabama, US? Have you got a poem that you wanted to read out there?
I had no idea that I would be invited to read. I appreciate that, but I'm driving on the road. But I do have the link. I am listening. I enjoyed listening, like listening to talk radio. So if the link's there, if anyone would care to, read it on their own or make a copy. And again, like I said, I didn't expect to be invited. I appreciate that. But I'm enjoying listening. I'm gonna put it back on mute and continue to listen. Okay.
Oh no problem. Yeah, safety on the road is utmost. So.
All right. Thank you. Y'all be safe.
I'll just share that with everyone in the group again. So if anyone does want to read it, they can have a read.
That's amazing because it's on YouTube. Anyone in the States can hear this and see it as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating to know that there's people all around the world tuning in and listening.
It's really
it is. It's fun.
Anyway, it's the wonder of the internet. Wonderful.
One of us could read it out, Mikey.
Oh, sorry, Joe, go ahead.
just that one of us could read it out. If I'm happy to read it out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd love you to. Go right ahead.
Okay, so this is by Michael. It's called The Heart Is Not Earthbound. Apologies if I mess up any of this poem, Michael. Bronte on the rocks, strong will, winds, rain, moors, crags, definitive high rock, opera before the art went high tech, king of pain, Heathcliff, novel study on the keen scent of mail, grief, the wuthering howls, reign of mad dog, kindred spirits make guest appearances, Stoker's Count Dracula inspired after Bronte's Heathcliff, real supernaturals don't die, the soulmates never out of print, Bronte, beyond bound books, in creating Heathcliff, Emily's reincarnated herself, art imitating everlasting life. Heathcliff, would you like to step out into the air? Kathy, always, promises are always. The heights beyond the wuthering, he wails, Kathy, my love, come back. Instead, their heart forwards the two out of the house for home. So well done, Michael. It's an absolutely beautiful poem.
That is a gorgeous poem.
Thank you for reading that.
Oh, you're most welcome.
No problem.
I've got real paranoia now that I was distracting you as you're driving. But that was fantastic. That was really, really lovely.
I'm terrified about talking about it, so I want Michael to keep his eyes on the road.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but that was so beautiful. I wish I could write poetry. I'm in awe of people who can write poetry. It's just so hard to kind of capture someone's attention in so few words. You know, I write novels. We need thousands. You know, it's amazing that we can do so much in so few words.
Yeah, and it was really beautifully done, very controlled. I've tried poetry and was not very good at it, so definitely got appreciation for people who can do it like that. That's really gorgeous. Mike Morris is just wondering, Michael, how you came across writing on the wall. He might be concentrating on driving, so we'll let him concentrate. Is there anyone else who's still got a little bit of time? If anyone would like to read out anything short.
I think Kamal said in the chat, maybe.
Oh, right, great. Yeah, Kamal.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
I'm the IT queen. I keep pressing the wrong button, sorry.
No problem.
Thank you. So mine's a bit basic, but I'll give it a go. Thank you. Is it okay? Can you hear me okay?
We can, yeah. Crystal clear.
Thank you. So Sarah's nostrils flared in disgust as a familiar stench of blood and disinfectant filled the air. Gary tightened his grip on her hand, his eyes full of anguish. He looked so vulnerable. Sarah, he spluttered, I love you. I know you do, my love. I know you do. Sarah tried to sound calm and loving, but the rage inside her was becoming too strong to contain. She pursed her lips. Even now she could not do it. She squeezed his hand hard. Hang on in there, Gary. You'll be all right. Doctors were frantically trying to stop the blood gushing from his injuries, but it was not enough. Sarah watched through the glass partition as they turned off the machines and wiped away the blood. Mrs. Smith, can you hear me? The nurse shook Sarah's arm. Yes, I can hear you, screamed Sarah. There's nothing more the doctors could do for your husband. I'm so sorry. Sarah, are there any relatives I can call for you? No, she hissed. Are there any friends I could contact for you? No, Sarah replied, defeated. A realization washed over her. She was alone, all alone. As the police questioned the driver of the other vehicle in the accident, Sarah felt nothing, no anger, no fear. She was just numb. Even the bruises on her ribs were excluded from pain. The police had no questions for Sarah. She was not a witness. When all the formalities were over, Sarah was asked if she would like to see her husband before she left. She declined the offer and left. And as the crisp, cold night air filled her lungs, the numbness left her as the corners of her mouth curled up into a smile. The end.
That was brilliant. Really.
Thank you.
I'm actually a bit jealous about how the vivid imagery that people are able to create with their writing.
I have a lot of time on my hands.
And what better way to spend it on writing?
Sorry, I love that twist at the end. I love the idea that you put in little clues as well. But when I've talked in some of the workshops about the show don't tell thing, you put so many details in there that we could see the scene. So that was really good. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, really high level of detail. Does anyone would like to comment on Kamal's work before we wrap up? Georgia says, very moving, brilliant. And Jerry says, great idea and great writing, and a great twist at the end and a great scene setting. I could see it all.
Thank you.
Lovely. Fantastic. Thank you to everyone who's participated tonight. It was really lovely to see. Oh, and Floyd says, cool story. You really, really led me on. Fantastic. Yeah, so thank you, everyone. Yes, it's just it blows me away every time when we see the responses to these residencies, how enthusiastic everyone is, the wonderful creativity that comes out of it. I just can't get enough of everyone's writing and listening, and I just want to say again, thank you, Caroline, for this residency. It has been mind-blowing, really, really fantastic. I'm really glad to have reconnected as well, just because I just enjoyed our time being taught by you at LJMU, and you know, every time I come across you, it's just fantastic work. I'm really inspired by you. Yeah, so thank you, everyone. I'd like to announce our next writer on the block, which is Roy, also known as his name is PJ Smith, but he goes by Roy. He's a fantastic short story writer and an amazing spoken word artist, and he'll be here from, let me just remind myself which week it is. He'll be here from the 7th of March, and he'll be starting his 3-week residency, so make sure you tune in. You can go to our social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or you can go to writingonthewall.org.uk, and you can click on the tab that says Writer's Block, and you'll find all the information you need on upcoming events. Thank you again, everyone, for participating. Thank you so much, Caroline. Would you like to say any final words?
Yeah, just thank you so much for asking me, Mikey, and for everyone who joined in and contributed and made it far less terrifying. I was terrified when I started, and you've all been so kind, and you've shared work and ideas with me and really inspired me to continue writing as well. So thank you. But yeah, keep writing. No, totally uninspiring, but please just keep writing. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, I love this evening. What a wonderful way to end it. Yeah, so keep writing, and make sure that you tune in to our future events. I want to hear from you again. Please come back, and everyone have a lovely evening.